and welcome to this NASCAR Hall of Fame special, the first class. We're standing in the Great Hall, situated in the heart of a great new building, one designed to celebrate a truly great sport, NASCAR. At the heart of our sport are strong, bold figures, highlighting our heritage and forging our future. Here at this soon-to-be-completed NASCAR Hall of Fame, we'll spend the next hour introducing you to the nominees for the NASCAR Hall of Fame's first class. So how does one become a Hall of Fame nominee? Eligibility for induction requires significant accomplishments and contributions to the sport. Drivers must race for at least a decade and be retired a minimum of 3 years. Non-driver candidates must also participate for more than 10 years. 5 new Hall of Fame members will be chosen each year from a maximum of 25 eligible individuals. Without further delay, it's my honor to share with you, in no particular order, the 25 nominees for the inaugural NASCAR Hall of Fame class. And where else to begin but with the pioneers?
It was the late 1930s, and stock car races were random one-time events run on dirt tracks across the South. When World War II erupted, a nation of racers went to war. 2 of those men were driver Robert "Red" Byron and his car owner, Raymond Parks.
Went in the service and stayed about 3 years. And when I got back out, well, I started all over again back in the stock car race.
Raymond Parks brought unprecedented organization to stock car racing, becoming NASCAR's first successful team owner. Red Byron overcame a shattered left leg suffered in the war to become NASCAR's first champion in 1948 and 49.
He approached it from a little higher plane than most of the drivers there, trying to analyze how everything was going to work. Along with car builder Red Vogt, Red Byron and Raymond Parks reinvented the concept of a racing team. Herb Thomas is a NASCAR pioneer who has found a new generation of fans thanks to the reanimation of the fabulous Hudson Hornet.
The checkered flag. Herb Thomas wins his 3rd Southern 500. Truly a remarkable performance.
Thomas drove the Hudson Hornet to championships in 1951 and 53. Lee Petty was the patriarch of NASCAR's royal family. In 1959, he won the very first Daytona 500.
Petty in number 42 Oldsmobile, Beauchamp in number 73 Thunderbird in a showdown race, pasted together at 135 miles an hour.
What they'll never be able to take away from Lee Petty is the fact that he won the very first inaugural Daytona 500. The historians, even 100 years from now, can look back and look at 1959, and when they do, it's going to have Lee Petty as the winner of the Daytona 500. Well, that by itself was significant, I think.
He was my hero, okay, because he took so little of money and so little of a car and won races with it.
He was one of those guys that he didn't just say, go put in it whatever you think. Lee called the shots on his car.
You can't have a conversation about NASCAR without talking about the Petty family. And here was the first Petty family member that was successfully participating.
In a career that started with NASCAR's first strictly stock race, Lee Petty captured 54 checkered flags and 3 championships.
What a driver, what a leader, what a boss. When Richard Petty started out, they said he had 3 answers to everything: yes, no, and ask my daddy. Hold on, we're barely into the first turn of this Hall of Fame nomination special. 21 nominees to go. Stay tuned for a visit from NASCAR CEO Brian France and a look at the Golden Era nominees. Stay with us. Welcome back. Construction continues here in Charlotte, North Carolina, uptown, for this grand exhibit, the NASCAR Hall of Fame. We've announced 4 of the pioneering nominees, and we're about to unveil more. At the bottom of your screen, you can start planning your ballot by reviewing the announced candidates. After all, how could America's largest spectator sport not ask its fans to help fill this NASCAR Hall of Fame? You can register at nascar.com/hall. Carefully choose your 5 candidates for the first class, and you may only vote once. You have until September 27, 2009 to cast your vote. I'm joined now by Brian France, CEO and Chairman of NASCAR. Brian, in 4 years, you've really put a lot on your plate. But I've got to tell you, looking at this immense edifice, this is something so different, so grand. This must be the pride and joy.
Well, it's pretty incredible. It's going to be an unbelievable spot for our fans to come, look at the future, look at the past. It all comes together right here at the Hall of Fame in Charlotte.
3 generations of you, and it's always been the same. Fans first.
Well, it has to be. That the fans are the lifeblood. Without them, there is no NASCAR. So we get that, and we're really excited that they're going to be a participant in this particular Hall of Fame like no other in the country. And we're just excited to open here next May.
First class. This will be the cornerstone for this entire operation, this first class.
Well, it will be. The production studios, the capabilities, obviously the Hall of Fame itself with all the interactive displays, things fans can do and see, the shows that will be produced out of here. Be a lot to do and see. And then you're also right downtown Charlotte, North Carolina, lots of places to stay, eat, and have some fun along the way.
Brian, the next nominees are no stranger to you. NASCAR stands out, due in part to your family for sure. And that family focus has been so important to this entire operation. It would be difficult to imagine the sport today if it wasn't for its founding father and son.
Big Bill France was a family man with a racing dream. As the Great Depression closed in, the part-time racer sold his Washington, D.C. service station, drove to Daytona Beach, and became the driving force behind a new sport.
I think that my racing experience was helpful in forming NASCAR.
Bill France was, I think, 6'8". He was a giant of a man. Without Bill France, there would have never been no NASCAR as everybody knows today.
This is Bill France, one of racing's most colorful figures.
In 1936, they put the first beach road stock car race on. After the war, the France family were the ones that kept the racing going for Daytona Beach.
On December 14th, 1947, at Daytona Streamline Hotel, a meeting of 35 men organized stock car racing into one governing body. NASCAR was born.
It's wonderful to have the opportunity of bringing this race to so many people.
By gosh, we got a heck of a thing going because we do have a great sport, and I am very proud to be part of it. I'm just very happy I was able to get NASCAR put together because it's got a rooting interest of many, many people.
Under France, NASCAR became the major league sport of the South. In January of 1972, Big Bill stepped down, passing the family business into the hands of his son, Bill France Jr.
On behalf of NASCAR, France family, and the guy here that reminds me where it all got started.
My father taught me one thing, is you either get bigger or you get smaller. You can't stand still.
From Big Bill to Little Bill, NASCAR grew. In 1984, one president joined the president to watch a king win his historic 200th race.
Richard won his big race. How often do you get the president of the United States there for an event?
Petty wins his 200th career NASCAR victory.
We got a long way to go with the sport. I want to get off the 7th page of the newspapers up on the front page.
Since the birth of this American motorsport, the France family has been NASCAR's guardian, keepers of a racing dream.
Brian, I can't help but believe that the grandfather and your dad would be just stunned by what you've accomplished here.
I think they'd be overwhelmed. I think they would be really impressed. Both of them would. It really, this Hall of Fame cultivates the vision that they had originally, which is, hey, make NASCAR big, hey, make it important, and then do what's really good for the fans so they can really experience it, and the Hall of Fame does all of those things.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Well, it's time for a brief pit stop, but we'll be back to rev the engines to unveil the remaining nominees, including some memorable personalities. Inside the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Welcome back to this inaugural nomination special. The unveiling of this list has been some monumental process. The utmost care taken to make sure every angle is carefully considered. The nominating committee consists of 7 NASCAR representatives, as well as the Hall of Fame executive director and historian, a couple of owners from International Speedway Corporation and Speedway Motorsports Incorporated tracks. They vote in addition to the owners of Indianapolis, Dover, Pocono Raceways, and finally, owners of famed historic tracks. They get to weigh in as well. It's time to introduce you to more of our nominating class. The sands of time may have blurred the bounty of legends throughout NASCAR's distinguished history, but it's no stretch to see the impact these icons first made on the sands of Daytona.
NASCAR's golden era was shaped by men who seemed larger than life. One of the sport's first great champions was Tim Flock. With a monkey riding shotgun, Flock was equal parts sportsman and showman.
One of the smoothest race car drivers I ever seen. Was not spectacular. He just got the job done.
Tim Flock in number 86 wants to run in front, moving through the field like a veteran at 115 miles an hour.
Through the south turn for the last time, and down the long beach straightaway, Flock's Mercury is smooth as ever.
He was the yardstick. What he was able to accomplish amazed not only the fans, but even his competitors.
Flock's 1955 season was the stuff of legend. 18 wins, 32 top fives, and 39 races.
Tim was always kind of the kid that you wanted to pull for. And after a while, he got so dominant, you didn't want to pull for him all that much anymore.
The youngest brother of Bob and Fonty Flock, Tim won 39 races and 2 championships in just 7 full-time seasons. Elsie Wiley Buck Baker was a former bakery truck driver who drove for one boss, himself.
With just laps to go, Buck Baker pours on the pole and goes into the lead with Lee Petty coming fast at the finish. It's Buck Baker blazing by the checkered flag, the winner.
What is an independent? Well, Chris, an independent is a guy that kind of, in my way of expressing it, goes it alone without the factory support. He's got his own independent garage. If I decided I didn't want to run today, all I got to do is load my equipment or junk, however you'd want to express it up, and go home.
In 1956 and 57, Baker became NASCAR's first back-to-back champion. Racing until he was 57 years old, Baker ended his career with 46 victories. Curtis Turner was a hard-living, hard-driving man who made his fortune in timber and spent it on the track. In 1950, the man known as Pops won back-to-back races, starting from the pole and leading every lap.
Curtis Turner, number 41, one of racing's all-time greats, shows how he got that way.
Turner, he was a go-all-out type of an individual, no holds barred.
He was a very aggressive driver, and he didn't like anybody roughing him up. If you roughed him up, you're going to end up and get the worst end of it.
He was just a guy that was hard charger, wide open all the time.
And Turner said, hey, nothing I like better to party or a fight. Let's have at it.
Turner in number 26 Ford jams the accelerator to the floor and closes in.
Working with some of NASCAR's biggest names, Curtis Turner's larger-than-life personality helped drive NASCAR through its early years.
Have there been any surprises? The loyalty of you fans is sure to spark some pretty wild debate. But will it live up to the likes of the rivalries produced by a batch of nominees yet to be revealed? We're nestled deep inside the NASCAR Hall of Fame, where construction is still in progress. But what an incredible place when we come to May 2010. Our next group of nominees embodies the personality of early NASCAR. The sport grew over the past 6 decades thanks to these nice guys, pranksters, and ambassadors.
They were 3 of NASCAR's first fan favorites. But Fireball Roberts, Joe Weatherly, and Ned Jarrett were first and foremost race favorites. Men who put a human face on the face of racing.
Fireball warms up his Ford, then cranks one on.
Edward Glenn Roberts earned the nickname Fireball on the baseball diamond. But it was in NASCAR where he was a hit with the fans and a gem on the track, winning 32 races.
I always thought that Fireball was the first superstar our sport had.
Fireball Roberts in Ford number 22 goes high, wide, and handsome to move up a notch.
He had a flair. Great race driver, hard charger, maybe fit into the category of Junior Johnson and Curtis Turner in that respect.
Fireball was a firecracker at Daytona, where he won 7 times, including the 1962 Daytona 500.
And Fireball gets the checkered flag. His crew is jubilant. Roberts in his Pontiac wheels into the winner's circle. 500 miles at an average speed of 152.9 miles an hour. An amazing achievement for driver, car, and equipment.
Even without a championship, Fireball Roberts is a NASCAR legend. Joe Weatherly took racing seriously, believe it or not.
Crown Prince of Racing is Pontiac's Joe Weatherly.
Little Joe Weatherly liked having fun, but his first love was winning. On the track, he was all business. In 1962 and 63, he won back-to-back titles.
61, I had my own complete team then. I had Joe Weatherly, in 61. And 62, we won the championship with Weatherly, 62 and 63.
On the green flag, Weatherly in number 9 pours on the coal.
Ned Jarrett was a family man's champion who turned a sport into a business and the business of racing into a family business.
I was a thinking man's race driver. I approached it from a business standpoint. I never considered myself to be a thrill seeker.
There's Ned Jarrett taking the checkered flag in the 16th Southern 500.
Driving with humility and honor, Jarrett won 50 races and 2 titles before opting for early retirement at 33.
Ned won the national championship again in 1965.
We were able to accomplish a good number of things in a relatively short period of time. To be able to win a couple of championships and 50 races wasn't too bad, I guess.
With Ned's next NASCAR career came a new fan following, thanks to his uncommon wisdom and common man's touch.
We talked about the 12 to 15 second pit stops for a change of tires and a tank of gasoline, but the change in the pit work now is much greater with the intense battle going on for the National Point Championship.
The flagman is signaled halfway, but just like in racing, the drama will only become more intense. When we return, NASCAR historian Buzz McKim will join us to provide an inside peek at the Hall. Plus, the legendary 21 will be in the Hall somewhere. But how will it be represented? Stay tuned. Welcome back to NASCAR Hall of Fame, the first class. The opening of the NASCAR Hall of Fame in uptown Charlotte, North Carolina, to take place May 2010. It's a labor of love for the passionate people that live excitement at 200 miles per hour. Joining me is Buzz McKim, historian for the Hall of Fame, and that's a pretty enviable title that you have. Now, what kind of treasures do we have hidden away here?
Well, this is really the nerve center, if you will, of the entire facility. We're standing in the middle of what will be known as the Great Hall, which is a kind of a changeable display area. We'll have major displays in conjunction with each one of the races at Lewis Motor Speedway. So we'll be rotating out these exhibits twice a year. And behind us here is the Glory Road. This is one of the real prime exhibits for the Hall of Fame. Now, it'll start over here at 0 degrees on this level, and it'll gradually wind up to 33 degrees behind us to the next level, and that'll replicate the banking of all the racetracks on the NASCAR circuit. And then on that banking will be 18 historically significant race cars to trace the evolution of the NASCAR race car, going from the old pre-war coupes all the way up to whatever we're running next year in 2010. But these will all be historic actual cars. Along the way, we'll also throw in an early Busch Series car, and we'll put an early truck in there from the old Craftsman Truck Series, and maybe mid-1980s modified to show that there were different divisions that were going on at the same time.
What about those old coupes?
Oh, got to have a coupe. Yeah, we'll be leading off with a coupe, definitely. One of those great old modifieds.
Now, where do you have the actual Hall of Fame? How does that come about?
Well, the actual hall itself will be right behind us here in this circular area. This will be this is what we're looking at is the exterior of the Hall of Honor. This is where the Hall of Fame inductees will be enshrined, and all that festivity will be going on right behind this wall here.
In the core of the building.
Right in the core of the building. Above, it's a second level above the 250-seat state-of-the-art theater that we have. And this is, it's oval in shape because, two reasons actually. Oval, most races were held on oval tracks, still on oval tracks, and also, being an oval, we can't put anybody in a corner. So everybody gets a fair shake.
Good idea. In addition to having a say in the voting, fans can put a lasting stamp on the Hall of Fame by purchasing a commemorative brick. You can purchase a brick that will pave the ceremonial plaza of the Hall of Fame. Your personalized brick is available in 3 different styles, and to place your order, visit NASCARHall.com/brick. Buzz, thanks for joining us. Tell us just a little bit about this brick.
Yeah, well, this is a great brick. I'm excited about this program because it's a way for the fans to really immortalize either themselves, a family member, their favorite driver, whatever, in the plaza area out in front of the hall. So go ahead and get your brick.
Dave Despain got me one. I wonder if I'll have to get him one. Thanks a lot for being with us, Buzz McKim.
Thank you very much.
The 1976 Daytona 500. One of the great races, a race heightened with heady drama. One man crossed the finish line, but will both make the Hall of Fame? We'll tell you who made the cut. And welcome back to the NASCAR Hall of Fame Nominee Special. NASCAR's future was shaped by these next men. They were the biggest names in a sport that was dramatically expanding. The races and records of these superstars shaped stock cars' next era.
From the Silver Fox to silver-haired veterans and champions, NASCAR's silver era was when stock car racing came of age. Richard Petty was a driver for the ages who defined his era and set a standard for all time. Richard was king. 200 wins, 7 championships.
He was an incredibly good driver, perhaps the best of his time, maybe the best of all time.
And immediately the cars start to pit. Here's Petty's car in the pit area. For some reason or other, Petty is up on top of his car, and Petty is definitely worried about the top. He's got a hammer, is hammering it away.
There was a time there that Richard Petty, when he showed up, it was like, okay, who's going to run second?
The crowd goes wild as Petty takes the lead right down the grandstand straightaway.
Dirt tracks, short tracks, super speedway, didn't make any difference. Everything just clicked.
And there's not a whole lot you can do. You don't ask questions. You just go get ready for the next race, hoping the luck stays with you.
When they were in a position to win races, they won races. And I think that's the big deal that allowed them to dominate through the 60s and into the 70s. He was just incredibly focused on one thing, and that was winning races. I think that's what made Richard Petty such a great driver.
David Pearson, with 105 wins and 3 titles, was one of the few drivers to challenge the King's reign.
On the backstretch, Pearson catches Yarborough and goes by, taking the lead again.
It was just enjoyable to go to a racetrack knowing that you had a chance of winning that race before you ever got there. Or at least I felt like I did.
Pearson hammers the throttle and takes the lead as if he owned the Darlington Raceway.
If anybody says, who's the best driver you ever drove against, I don't hesitate. It was David Pearson.
It is still David Pearson leading Richard Petty, and they're in the final 2 laps of the race.
This is unbelievable to see these cars this close, particularly these 2 men, because the crowd must be on their toes at this time.
Still got horsepower, and he's now closing right in behind Richard Petty as they turn and come for home. Ken Pearson slingshot him as he comes down low, and he may run him into the fence, and it's going to be Pearson winning it. An incredible, daring move, and it paid off for David Pearson.
Cale Yarborough won an unprecedented 3 consecutive championships, from 1976 through 78.
Always tried to stay in good physical condition. I could run the last lap just about as hard as I ran the first lap, and it paid off a lot of times.
It didn't make no difference if he was 2 laps behind or 20 laps ahead. He drove that car as hard as he could possibly drive it.
When you got a driver you know is going to give you everything he's got, you can take away 30% of the car and he'll still give you enough to beat everybody.
Cale Yarborough has won the national championship.
It's just amazing to think back over my career, think about how blessed I was to be able to do well in something that I really love to do.
I say I've been to the top of the mountain and to the bottom of the valley.
And they have enough lead. I believe it is going to be a battle between the father and son. I don't think anybody else can try it, but here he comes. He's going to do
the
it.
Bottom. He's down low. Bobby Allison high. Davey Allison trying the inside move. Bobby Allison holds him off. They come to the stripe, and the winner of the 30th annual Great American Race, Bobby Allison. Davey Allison, his son, in second.
In 1988, 50-year-old Bobby Allison became the oldest winner of the Daytona 500. Over the course of his 25-year career, Allison won 3 Daytona 500s, 85 races, and the 1983 championship. Benny Parsons was a one-time taxi driver who became the first NASCAR driver to break the 200-mile-per-hour barrier. Parsons' greatest win was in the 1975 Daytona 500, but his greatest achievement came 2 years earlier in the final race of 1973. With the season championship within reach, disaster struck.
A car had spun and was sitting on the racetrack sideways, just sitting there, and I tried to turn under him, and when I did, I just caught him with the right side of my car and ripped the whole right side off of it.
The Cup looked lost, but a determined effort by Parsons and his crew allowed the 72 to return to the track and win the championship by 67 points.
It's a special group of nominees ahead. Revolutionary forces up on the wheel, under the hood, and in the shop. There's even a mechanic that helped shape the Hall of Fame careers of 7 candidates. Stick around. Construction continues here in the Great Hall of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. We've announced 17 names. Now just 8 remain. Every candidate would want nothing more than to be immortalized here, whether they are drivers, crew chiefs, or owners. As motorsports enthusiasts, we owe a debt of honor to this innovative group.
NASCAR's journey is a long and winding road, marked by landmark moments where revolutionary minds have looked at what was and saw what could be. Junior Johnson was the iconic Southern bootlegger. The last American hero was one of NASCAR's first folk heroes.
Junior Johnson. He drives with a simple strategy, flat out, as far and as fast as she'll go.
Junior Johnson was my hero. He drove this white 63 Chevrolet with a 3 on the side of it. And the thing that always intrigued me was he had a 427 Chevrolet mystery engine.
Meanwhile, the Chevy engine, which wasn't supposed to last, has Johnson still in front.
He was an innovator. You know, you might say, oh, Junior, listen to him. He sounds a little bit country. Maybe he's a farmer. He's this. Let me tell you what, that is a brilliant man.
After winning 50 races, Junior quit racing, but not winning. As an owner, he won 6 titles, 3 with Darrell Waltrip, and a record 3 straight with Cale Yarborough.
We didn't come to run second. I don't want you to save the car. You drive it as hard as it goes, and if it breaks, we'll build you a better one. That was his philosophy. And that's the way he liked for you to race, and that's the way he wanted you to race, because that's the way he raced.
Glenn Wood has been around NASCAR since the beginning. Wood won 9 races in the Cup and Convertible Series before becoming one of racing's most innovative owners, winning some of the most memorable races.
They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding, slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? He's still moving. The car stops 300, 400 feet shy of the finish line. Pearson is still running. David Pearson moving down crew as they come to the stripe. The winner is car number 21.
Wood revolutionized the way crews approach pit stops, elevating a motorsport into a team sport.
And here's the famous Glenwood pit crew that did so well in Indianapolis.
We had one of the best crews at that time, and most of it was brothers.
You know that some of your pit stops were as fast as 15 seconds?
I wouldn't at it, because I know that when I made my stops, I didn't hardly have time to take a drink of water.
Before Bud Moore became a NASCAR pioneer, he was a bona fide war hero, storming the beach on D-Day.
Bud Moore, Thompson's mechanic, watches as Thompson pounds out the miles here at Darlington today.
Moore came home to his racing dream. With men like Buck Baker and Joe Weatherly, the cars Bud built won 3 titles.
A sledgehammer being swung heavily here by Chief Mechanic Bud Moore.
As an owner, Bud Moore continued to pull double duty as crew chief, confident in the knowledge that as he built cars, he was building his sport. Richard Petty ruled the Cup Series, but Richie Evans was the king of NASCAR's Modified Series. The Rapid Roman from Rome, New York, won 9 titles, including 8 straight.
Probably one of the most exciting races that Martinsville ever had was the finish with Richie and Jeff crashing and banging on the last lap. There was 4 cars in the lead lap, and I was one of them. And all I said to myself was, darn it all, they both made it over the finish line.
In an unprecedented honor, Evans, 61, became the first number in any NASCAR division to be retired.
Memories are fresh from NASCAR's modern era, so the debate ahead will be fierce. 4 names remain, but what a quartet. They have 24 championships between them. Stay tuned for the final 4 nominees. We're down to the finish line for our first 25 candidates in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And the final 4 is a famous quartet for sure. They're known for strong finishes. They've raced them, they've built them, and you know them well.
With the big 80s began the biggest growth in NASCAR's history. Big names with bigger dreams helped a Southern sport go national. Darrell Waltrip was unlike any champion before him. With 84 wins and 3 cups, Waltrip talked big and backed it up.
Earnhardt in the middle. Waltrip
He had nicknames like Jaws, but Jaws was winning. He backed up what he said.
Darrell is, in his way of driving, he was as good as ever come along.
He didn't just talk the talk. He walked the walk and went home with the checkered flag on more than a few occasions.
Darrell was pretty smart as far as figuring what he could do and what he couldn't do without abusing the tires. He knew when to race and when not to.
I'd sit on your back bumper and make you wonder if I was going to hit you. And every now and then I'd hit somebody just so I'd say, he will hit you. I didn't care if they mentioned my name until there was 100 to go. And then I wanted people to say, where'd he come from? I took a lot of pleasure in holding back, saving a little something, and then getting them right at the end, because it seemed like that really ticked them off.
Welcome to my office. I'm glad y'all could be here. This is where I work every day.
You get your front end in there, you stand your ground. And a lot of times it comes out bad, but a lot of times you win races too.
Dale Earnhardt gave the maximum effort every time he got in a race car.
Oh, Earnhardt in the grass.
Just sheer guts and determination pretty well describes Dale Earnhardt, and a desire to win no matter what he did.
If there was one thing you don't want in your mirror, it's the black 3.
Dale Earnhardt was a working man's hero who tied Richard Petty's record of 7 championships.
He just did not have quit in his vocabulary.
Richard Childress was a driver-owner who became the key part of NASCAR's first modern team.
Here is Ricky Rudd, takes the checkered flag and wins the Goodies 500.
Likewise, the first for car owner Richard Childress.
Creating a one-stop race shop that built every piece for every car, Childress and Earnhardt won 6 titles.
That black number 3 and Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt was certainly an incredible franchise in this sport.
I think the combination between the two of them, Richard, an ex-driver, he could relate to what Dale wanted in a car too. Just made a big difference.
I know how it is leaving the racetrack on Sundays when you've had a bad day and you can't win for a while.
My dreams was always to drive race cars and win races and race for championships.
Rick Hendrick built one of the winningest programs in NASCAR history through faith, family, and lessons learned from teams who came before him.
I never dreamed we'd make it 25 years, and I feel honored and blessed that I can do anything in life that I enjoy as much as racing and stay with it for this long.
The 25 years has gone by in a hurry. It doesn't feel like it's been that long ago when I first showed up. And then I look at some of the videos and how young I was.
Housing many of the modern era's greatest drivers, Hendrick's history reads like the Hall of Fame's future.
It's hard to win a championship in any sport, and I'm just real proud of the guys and the organization.
We do appreciate everybody in NASCAR and all the owners, all of the media that covers our sport, that thank you for your support, and especially for me over the last 25 years.
There you have it, 25 nominees spanning 6 decades of racing. And you have a voice in the decision as to who will be in the Hall of Fame. You can register at NASCAR.com/hall, carefully choosing your 5 candidates for the first class, and you may vote only once. You have until September 27th, 2009 to cast your vote. When we return, we'll review the field and dig deeper into the framework of fame. Stay tuned. And welcome back. Over the last hour, we've introduced you to the 25 nominees for the NASCAR Hall of Fame's first class. The next step is selecting 5 members who will represent the first class. Voting will take place to narrow this list of 25 down to 5. The 47-member voting committee, including the consensus of the fan vote, will provide the final tally and the announcement of the 2010 inaugural Hall of Fame class. This is a momentous event for NASCAR and indeed for the motorsports world. The contributions and impressions these 25 giants have made upon our sport and culture deserve lasting tribute.
We have seen some good ones, and this could well be the best that we have ever seen.
On race day, after all the pomp and preparation, field assembled, money laid out, and the field rolls toward a start, why, at that moment, when anticipation is about to meet reality, when the most competitive racing on earth strikes out on a new adventure, it doesn't need any more buildup, any more hyperbole. I think it's fitting right then to say, and I do, ladies and gentlemen, we have a race. And that's the way it's always been.
Go, go, go! Get your speed up from 40 to 120 miles an hour, bumper to bumper.
It's out, and they are on the gas.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
The Middle South has been watching progress on this track for the better part of a year. It looked as if half of Cabarrus County was being moved to build the awesome track.
The red clay country, the country that fostered so much of this sport's tradition and early organization, will now be the home of a proper Hall of Fame. This will be that place to bring our imaginations, our children, our grandchildren, to recognize and remember that unique group of people who, with their courage and commitment, pioneered and continued to build this sport.
And Jimmy Johnson makes history as a three-time consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup champion.
In these halls, we'll come face to face with those colorful, daring, independent souls who accepted the challenge of high-speed action and dealt with it.
Up alongside Benny Parsons, he's going for the lead over to turn number 1. On the wall!
This place honors those who stood tallest among the dedicated ranks of American stock car racers.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come with a caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
It's a different game we honor here, but a contest nevertheless, played with all the intensity and the wiliness, the focus and the balance and courage. Real courage to deal with real risk.
Cale Yarborough, not a scratch. I sailed through the air like an astronaut, he said.
As much as honoring its heroes, this building pays homage to an honest American homegrown sport that many of us believe in.
Now, this is it. The first go of the 500-mile journey.
This Hall of Fame acknowledges what our sports heroes have achieved while providing a standard we can all admire and hopefully learn from. I can't wait to stand in the door here and say to myself, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Hall of Fame.
On behalf of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, congratulations to the 25 nominees, and thank you for being part of it.